Add to stream. Ah, there you go. I am indeed added to the stream. And well, sometimes it just takes a couple of seconds to get things sorted out. So it took me 2 minutes to figure this out, but I am figured out and we are live. So we're going to be talking real estate uninterrupted. And if you guys have any questions, go ahead and ask. And I'm not here to talk about flipping homes because that is not what I am here to talk about. Although there's a lot of gurus and a lot of people that indeed do talk about fixing and flipping homes. What I am here to talk about is indeed what the hell is happening with real estate and what to expect and where are the discounts. Everybody's talking about discounts. Where are these 30% discounts that we're not able to find? Where are these 40% discounts that everybody promised us that we would have by now and we haven't seen? So let's talk about a little bit of that. But before we talk about Q4 and moving forward, I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about Q3. So third quarter of 2020, what we saw in the real estate space and what we are looking at as a result of Q3 into Q4. Who am I? My name is Hamza Ali. I own and manage 1,000 units in Houston, 1,000 apartment units in Houston, Texas, and I am currently developing roughly around 300,000 square feet of office warehouse space. I thought I would pass down a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of information from the things that I've seen based on the fact that I have 1,000 tenants currently in Houston, Texas. I have a pretty good grasp on what's going on with the market and what rental collections are looking like and what demand is looking like. So first, let's talk about demand. For those of you who are interested in the demand component of this, I'm quickly just going to go and tell you guys that demand is strong and that we are looking at really good demand. And the fact that demand is strong means that we have a lot of people moving either into Houston, Texas, or we have a lot of people that are currently looking to move homes. Now, where's the problem? We always have a problem, right? The problem is that a lot of tenants, due to this eviction ban, the fact that we can't evict tenants, are gaming the system. And this gaming the system is affecting us as landlords, and it's in fact affecting a lot of landlords around Houston, Texas. The fact that a lot of tenants are now refusing to pay rent just because they know that they can't be evicted, right? Because of the eviction ban, is is reason now for them to stay in apartments for a few months without paying rent. And this, unfortunately, is something that is affecting all the landlords, I'm assuming, in the entire state at a certain income level. Where there's a will, there's a way, meaning, what do I mean by that? I mean that a lot of tenants are able to pay rent. It's not that they're not able. So they're working, they're buying new cars, they're getting new credit cards, they're spending on other luxuries and avoiding to pay rent just because they know that they can't be evicted from their properties. And this, unfortunately, is the biggest issue that we are facing right now. The biggest issue that we are facing right now is that we cannot evict. And trust me, I have tried, and I have tried many a time to evict tenants, and I just can't because the eviction ban is in place. And my case has been pushed back. I'll give you one brief example. A brief example is that I tried to evict a tenant because she was interrupting the peace at my property. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of fighting with the neighbors around her. In fact, in one case, it was almost to the point where it was a violent crime. And the case went to the judge, and the judge threw out the case and said that we will renegotiate. We will look at the case, in the beginning of January. So Q4, it seems like this tenant is going to be staying at my property. And this is just, of course, one case out of many. But it seems like for the next quarter, this tenant is going to be staying at my property rent-free. Unfortunately, I anticipate a few more tenants to be attracted by this and start staying rent-free at our properties. These tenants are not, now I must be careful and tell you guys that I am not targeting this conversation towards tenants who are genuinely unable to pay. For those who are genuinely unable to pay, we have other solutions that are in place, and those tenants are coming up with some type of a partial payment. So we are working with tenants on a case-by-case scenario. I'm specifically talking about the tenants who are trying to game the system and just not pay rent because they know that they can't be evicted. Unfortunately, there's a few tenants that are now in the space where they realize that they can game the system and not get evicted because of the eviction ban. So the eviction ban is hurting us as landlords. I will tell you this, occupancy is still at around 95 to 97% between all our properties. The place that we are facing the largest issue is collections. That means our rent collections, our delinquencies are a little higher than normal. And as you all know, I'm a syndicator, which means not only do I have to worry about tenants paying their rent, I also need to worry about my investors getting their distributions, right? Like I said, I'm a syndicator, which means I pool together investor money, and I gather all that money and I go and buy large real estate investment deals. And what we promise our investors is that we will be giving them money from the cash flow, from the rental income that we receive on a monthly basis. This is becoming a little challenging right now just because of the fact that it is almost impossible to give investors money when we are seeing the market kind of take a turn for the worse because of things such as tenants who are gaming the system. Now, would I rather these units be vacant? No, absolutely not. But I would rather put qualified tenants in them and not have to worry about really uh, issues that arise from problematic tenants, right? From tenants who are qualified but now have decided to become problematic just because they know they can get away with with not being able to pay rent. So this is something that's really important, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed. Now, as far as outlook, I think Q3 was pretty flat. Q4, I think, is really where we are going to see some opportunity. We are starting to see more stress in the market as lenders are now tightening their grips on loans. Interest rates are fairly low, but interest rates don't mean anything if you can't close a deal. If you can't underwrite a deal correctly or close it, interest rates literally mean nothing. So there's a lot of deals that are falling apart. There's a lot of issues because of the pandemic and what happened with the pandemic. And so I anticipate that those issues will continue. In fact, they will continue to a steeper level because the damage now has been done. And I think we are going to see some deals, especially in the office and the hospitality space, as people now are choosing to move away from those and move into other types of real estate. That's really what I really wanted to talk about today, and the direction that I see real estate going towards now. Of course, October is a very volatile month for those of you who are invested in the stock market in the short term, especially when we have an election in the same year. So October is anticipated to be almost, I would say, a down month. And it depends on who gets elected. This is how I see things playing out. If President Trump were to get reelected, I think there will be a hype, an initial hype. And what that means is everything will start to, prices will start to go up. And the reason for that is I think he's going to take stimulus more seriously once he's reelected. As you all know, he tweeted today that he's putting stimulus on hold until he gets reelected. I think he's using that as leverage, smart move. I think he's using that as leverage to get reelected and talk to the American people and tell them that if he gets reelected, stimulus will be something of a priority. I will tell you also that stimulus is much needed right now as we are seeing job losses and companies let go of people on a permanent basis. Some of these jobs are not going to come back, but as far as real estate trends, I do see in the case of President Donald Trump being reelected, real estate will continue to grow aggressively right after the elections and all the way into 2021. Unless things change on the interest rate side and the government decides to put less stimulus than anticipated or promised into the economy, or phase out stimulus for whatever reason into the economy. Now, if Joe Biden was to get elected, I think there will be a little bit of panic, and that's nothing to worry about, by the way. If you guys look at historic data from when Democrats or Republicans are in the White House, the growth is right at around 2.8% every year. Year-on-year growth is 2.8%, regardless of who's elected, right? Regardless of what policies are in play. There's always loopholes, and our job as entrepreneurs, as investors, as real estate developers, is to find those loopholes and to use them to our advantage. And this has been, tax strategy 101 for the rich since the beginning of time. So I'm sure there's going to be some sort of increase in tax, and there's going to be a loophole around it for people who invest in real estate. So that's just something that we're going to have to look out for. But anyways, back to the point. If Biden were to get elected, I think there will be a moment of panic as people, as investors, as real estate developers, as construction companies still try to figure out what is the best way moving forward. So there's going to be a little bit of a pause, but then things are going to come back maybe even more aggressively than they would with the current president. It just depends on how much demand is built up in the time that there is this downturn. The downturn may actually even be beneficial, and this is just something that I'm thinking of. It may actually be beneficial just because there's going to be limited number of transactions, and a lot of money needs to be circulated in real estate as tax incentives. So that's something that we need to look at, and we need to kind of figure out how that's going to play and pan and move forward. Now, as far as Biden's 1031 exchange policy, that I think is going to take a lot of time to pass or to get passed. So I think we will still have that tax incentive in place for a long period of time, if it get passed at all, right? So we all know that in order for him to pass the laws that he's claiming to pass, they have to pass through many channels, and they have to be approved through all those channels. And so for that, that's something that's important that we look at and we see, and we understand better as to what exactly is going to happen once he's, if he gets elected to begin with. The other thing I want to talk about is direction and when is the right time to buy. Now, so as many of you may know, I've actually been sitting on the sidelines for Q3. That means all of the third quarter of 2020, I have actually not actively looked at buying real estate. And the reason for that is the debt is very hard to structure. So I decided, you know what, since the debt is very hard to structure and I have 300,000 square feet of development going on, plus the 1,000 apartment units that I have in Houston to manage, I would rather focus my energy on that and have that become as efficient as possible, which is what I have done in Q3. Now in Q4, I do plan on investing, and the timing that I plan on investing will be starting early December. It won't be December 1st, 2nd. However, it will be well into the first week of December. I'm already identifying some properties that are well priced, priced to sell. I don't think they will sell until December. And so that is the time for me really to strike and to look for deals. And so that is what I am going to be primarily focusing on. I'm going to be looking for some deals now so that I can probably strike in sometime in December and be able to buy those deals. So for those of you who are interested in investing in real estate and are thinking about investing in real estate, I think December is going to be a great time. And with that, guys, I think I've passed my 15-minute mark. I just wanted to keep this video really short and talk about what I see happening. I'm going to be doing these type of videos a couple of times a week now to discuss some thoughts I have just off the top of my head in the real estate investing space. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, please leave them below. And I will discuss them in the next video. And until then, I will see you guys very soon.